Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Megillah Daf Tes. Perhaps let's go back to the Mishnah on Ches Amud Beis, which is 6 lines from the bottom of the Amud. We're back onto the topic of Ein Bein, finding distinctions between otherwise similar things. Ein Bein Sfarim L'Tfilin Mezuzos. There's not much difference between the way you write Sefarim, Rashi says, Torah, Nevi'im, Uksuvim, which were written in scroll form, between them, L'Tfilin and Mezuzos. There's not much difference between Tanakh, Tfilin and Mezuzos, Ella. Only Shasfarim Nichtavin B'Chol. One can choose to write Tanakh in any language. You can have a Sefer Torah in French, in English. And you can use it for Kriyas HaTorah. It has Kedusha Sefer Torah. You can be Yotze Mitzvahs Ksivas Sefer Torah by writing a Sefer Torah in English. However, Utfilin and Mezuzos, they're more specific. Eina Nichtavos Ela Ashuras. They can only be written Ashuras. Rashi says Lashon HaKodesh. Mfarshim say it's called Ashuras. It's the Mi'ushar Shabbalashonis, the richest of all languages. It's actually the source language for all other languages. Others learn Ashuras Milashon Ashur. Klal Yisrael brought it back from Ashur when they came up to Eretz Yisrael. In the time of Ezra, that's when they reintroduced Ksav Ashuras. In any case, Tefillah and Mezuzos need to be written Lashon HaKodesh with Hebrew alphabet. Rabban Shimon Gamliel Eimer, Af B'Sfarim Lehitiru, Sheyichtu V'Levanis. Even by Sfarim, Tanakh, although we may translate, but only to Greek, as the Gemara will explain for us. Tanakh holds any language is good by Tanakh. Tefillah and Mezuzos need to be Lashon Ashuras. Says the Gemara, that's the only chiluk. Language, apparently. Ha, l'toifron begidin. When it comes to the requirement of sewing these things up with gidin, with sinews. U'letames yadayim, regarding another halacha. Like kisvei HaKodesh are metame one's hands. They used to hide the truma food with the kisvei HaKodesh. The mice used to come, eat away at the food and damage the scrolls. They made a takana. From now on, you touch kisvei HaKodesh. Well, Tanakh, even Tefillah and Mezuzos, your hands become tamei and you're metame truma. So it seems from the Mishnah that pertaining to all these other halachas, l'toifron begidin, the requirement to have them sewed up with dafka gidin threads, whether it's a Sefer Torah, Tefillin, or even Mezuzah perhaps, if it gets torn, you have to sew it back together, you have to use gidin. And likewise, when it comes to the halach of Tumas Yadayim, zev is a shavn. They're all equal and the same. The only chiluk is regarding language. Usfarim nechtav b'Chol. How can we say that Svarim can be written using any language? We have a brayso, Mikra shekosvei targum. Part of the Sefer, those psukim, which are meant to be written in Lashon HaKodesh, Vayidaber Hashem L'Moshe Leimer, which he chose to write targum in Aramaic, or in the reverse, the targum, words or psukim that are meant to be written in Aramaic. Rashi brings, for instance, in Bereshis we have Yegar Sahadusa, the heap of stones that was formed between Yaakov and Lavan as a sign of the agreement that they made. Yegar Sahadusa. Yegar is a heap of stones, Sahadusa, to offer a testimony, to provide edus. Sahadusa is a lashon of witnessing. Here we go, a lashon of targum in the Torah. He decided, you know what, I don't want foreign languages in the Torah. V'targum shekosvei mikra. He decided to write it in Lashon HaKodesh. Or Rashi says, for instance, in Daniel, we have many psukim in targum. He switched it, he translated it to Lashon Kodesh. It doesn't work. Or Ksav Ivri, instead of using the Ksav Ashuris alphabet, he decided to use Ksav Ivri. Ksav Shel Ivri Hanoah, Rashi says. Ksav Libuna. Some sort of strokey language, alphabet, which doesn't really conform. It's not the Ksav that we're meant to use in the Sefer Torah. Einai metames yadayim. In any of these cases, if he translates or uses the wrong alphabet, the Sefer no longer has Kedusha. It's not matami one's hands. Unless he writes it using Ksav Ashuris. ala sefer, on parchment, ubediyah, using ink. Pretty clear from the Brisa, so you can't translate. In contrast to our Mishnah that allows. How do we answer this kasha? The Gemara will provide 5 tiras. Amar Rava. Like kasha, the answer is, depends how far you go. Kan begufan shalanu. Our Mishnah speaking, where he used our alphabet. Begufan, or begufin, samageris, or gifan. The letters are Lashon Kodesh. So you change the language, but the actual alphabet will still remain the original Lashon Kodesh. So that's why it works. Kan begufan shalahen, the Brisa is speaking, we switched the alphabet as well. He wrote in English, using English alphabet. That doesn't have Kedusha. Amali Abaye, b'mayo kim telahi. So how are you learning that Brisa? Begufan shalahen, using foreign alphabet. My area mikra shekas v'targum. V'targum shekas v'mikra. So why does the Brisa have to resort to a case? The Brisa describes a case where he took the pasuk of Lashon Kodesh, turned it into Targum. He took Aramaic, translated it to Lashon Kodesh, and that seems to be the problem. If you're learning that he's using foreign alphabet, forget about that problem. The alphabet itself is unworthy. Afil mikra shekasra mikra. Suppose he took Lashon Kodesh words and wrote them in Hebrew. V'targum shekasra targum. He took Aramaic and wrote it in Aramaic. Nami, that's also not Kisvei HaKodesh. It also wouldn't conform. Because the Brisa itself explains itself. It only works if you used Ashuris. Ksav Ashuris. On a parchment with ink. So the problem is the alphabet. It's English instead of Lashon Kodesh alphabet. Skip the fact that he changed the language. The actual gufin are problematic. That in itself would render it unfit for Kisvei HaKodesh. So according to you, why does the Brisa have to elaborate? The fact that it uses foreign alphabet, that in itself is reason enough to disqualify the Sefer. Says Abaye, okay, apparently that's not the case there. We're speaking that he's using Aleph Bey's alphabet. And still the Brisa says, wrong language. Doesn't work. In our Mishnah, we learned that you can translate. Ela lekasha, the answer must be as follows. Horaban Shimon ben Gamliel. Our Mishnah is the Rabbanon, who allow translation. The Brisa is Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, who told us in the Mishnah you can't translate. You have to stick to the original language. And therefore, it's disqualified. 1 second, says the Gemara. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, according to him, you still have one option. In the Mishnah, he tells us that Greek is fine. So why does the Brisa say it only works if it's Ashuris, if it's Lashon Kodesh? So this teretz doesn't work. Third teretz, Ela lekash, kam b'sfarim. The Mishnah is speaking about Svarim, Torah Nevi'im Uksum, they can be translated. Kam b'tfilim mezuzos. The Brisa doesn't allow translation. It's speaking about tefillin and mezuzos. We have to stick to the Lashon Kodesh. So it's a different item that we're speaking about in the Brisa. Asks the Gemara. Okay, tefillin mezuzos, my time. Once we're on the topic of tefillin mezuzos, so why? Why can't you translate it? Why is it different than Tanakh? We learn you have to have the original language. And you stick to the original, you can't translate. Fine. Okay, now we understand the difference between Tanakh and tefillin and mezuzos. V'hayu doesn't allow deviating from the original language. Problem is, the Brisa speaks about the mikro that was turned into Targum, the Targum that was turned into mikro. Now, if we're speaking about tefillin and mezuzos, my Targum shekasvei mikra ikra. Where in the tefillin and the mezuzah do you ever find a Targum, a word in Aramaic that was translated by this fellow into Lashon Kodesh? There is no Aramaic in tefillin and mezuzos. Bishleim Torah ika yigar sadusa. Chumash we find yigar sadusa. So this fellow decided to take yigar sadusa, the heap of testimony, and turn it into gal aid, the heap of edus, and that's problematic. But in the tefillin and mezuzos, what do you have Aramaic included there? Allah my Targum ika. What do you have Aramaic? Now you'll ask, what about Teitafes? Rashi brings the Gemara. tat ba'afriki, right? The lashon teitafes is like a foreign language, taken from a foreign language. So Mepharshim asks this kasha: why does the Gemara say that in Tefillah Mezuzah we don't have targum? So I saw that they bring the other pshat in Rashi. That apparently this Gemara holds like the other pshat in Rashi. That teitafes is actually referring to a speaking expression. Rashi brings like meitif. Tefillin on one's head is an expression, a demonstration of Hashem's presence. So according to that, teitafes is really a lashon kodesh word. Or perhaps you can say simply that the Gemara is speaking about targum. We don't find targum Aramaic in the Parsha of Krishma. So how can the Brisa be speaking about tefillin and mezuzahs when the Brisa is alluding to some targum content which is non-existent in tefillin and mezuzahs? Ella, says the Gemara, teretz number 4. Like Kashi, let's answer the stira as follows. Kamba Megillah, the Brisa, which doesn't allow translation, is speaking about Megillah's Esther, that has to be recorded in its original form. Kamba Sfarim, whereas the Mishnah was speaking about other Sfarim. Tanakh. Megillah, my time, why can't you translate the Megillah? It's meant to be written in the original language, in Lashon Kodesh, the language that the Jews were speaking. Here again, same question. So where's the Targum in Megillah's Esther that the Brisa is referring to? My Targum shekasvei Mikra Ivra. What do you have the Targum that was translated to Mikra? Amar Papa v'nishma Piskam HaMelech. Piskam is Aramaic. The verdict, the word of the king was publicized. So we have Aramaic content in the Megillah. And it has to remain as such. You can't translate it to Lashon Kodesh. That's one example. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar, I'll give you another example. Although women should give respect to their husbands. Yikar is Aramaic. Yikar stands for covet. So the Brisa, which doesn't allow translation, is Megillah's Esther, whereas the Mishnah is speaking about other Sfarim. Rav Ashi Amar, I'll give you a fifth teretz. Ketanya hi b'shar Sfarim. Rabbi Yehuda. You know why the Brisa doesn't allow translation? Because the Brisa is speaking about Nevi'im Uksuvim, where even according to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, who says that you can translate things into Greek, but not Nevi'im Uksuvim. Rabbi Yehuda, we follow Shittas Rabbi Yehuda. This is Sanya. Tefillin and mezuzahs and nichtaven el ashuris. Right? Tefillin and mezuzahs have to be produced in their original format, ashuris. V'Rabbi Seinu, our Rabbeim, hitiru Yavanis. They allowed tefillin and mezuzahs to be written in Yavanis. Really? V'oksiv v'hayu. V'hayu says you can't translate tefillin and mezuzahs. Ela ema, let's reword the Brisa. Let's retranslate the Brisa. Svarim nichtaven b'chalashin, not tefillin and mezuzahs. Svarim meaning Tanakh. Can be written using any language. That's the Tanakama. Rabbi Seinu hitiru Yavanis. Our Rabbi Seinu allowed Yavanis. It sounds like only Rabbi Seinu allowed it, but Tanakama don't allow. Well, how could that be? Meaning Rabbi Seinu seems to be reflecting Rabbi Shimon Gamliel's Shita, who only allows Yavanis. Why? We're going to see soon. But the Tanakama is probably the Rabban, who allow any language. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Seinu hitiru Yavanis, meaning Rabbi Shimon Gamliel allows Yavanis, which sounds like hitiru, he allowed it. Mechlal the Tanakama asar, I mean the Tanakama, the opposing shit, doesn't allow Yavanis? Tanakama allows any lashon. Ela emo, you have to reword the Brisa again. Rabbi Seinu lo hitiru sheyichtavu ele Yavanis. Add one word, ele Yavanis. So we changed two things. First of all, we're not speaking about tefillin mezuzahs. That can't be translated in any case. Speaking about Sfarim. Tanakh. That's number one. Number two, Tanakama allows any translation. Rabbi Seinu, which means Rabban Shimon Gamliel, will only matter El Yavanis, only Greek. Okay, so this reflects the Machlekes in our Mishnah as well. Tanakama and Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. V'Tanya. And we have a Brisa which adds as follows. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Av ksheitiru Rabbi Seinu Yavanis. Even when Rabbi Shimon Gamliel was mater, translating Torah into Greek, lo yitiru ela b'sefer Torah. It only applies to the Sefer Torah, to the Chumash, not to Nevi'im Uksuvim. Umishum ma'aseh the Talmei HaMelech. based on the story with Talmei HaMelech, where they had to translate the Torah into Greek, and because it had to be done, it became mutter. But it was a limited heter to Torah, which would happen to be the object of their translation. But Nevi'im Ksub never had that phenomenon, therefore that has to remain the original. There's no heter applied to them. So that offers a teretz. That provides a teretz to the steerer. And now Mishnah we learn it could translate to any language. Whereas in the Brisa we learn that no translation at all. Says Rabashi, you know what? The Brisa reflects Shita Rabbi Shimon, who, although when it comes to Sefer Torah, he allows translation into Yavanis, but the Brisa is speaking about Nevi'im and Ksuvim, which have no such allowance. So in conclusion, let's go over the 5 terutzim in the Gemara. We started with a kasha. A steer between our Mishnah allows translation either to any language, Tanakama, or to Yavanis, according to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. We have a Brisa which says you can only write Ashuris, Lashon Kodesh, that's it. Rava says, well, our Mishnah is speaking about using Lashon Kodesh alphabet. Bryce is speaking about using foreign alphabet, and it's worse. Abai didn't like the teretz. He offered his teretz. Our Mishnah, which allows translation, is Rabbanon. The Brisa, Rabban Shimon Gamliel. The Gemara asked on that. Well, even according to him, you could do it into Greek. Next teretz. Our Mishnah is speaking of Tanakh. The Brisa, Tefillin Mezuzah, it's V'hayu. They have to be produced in their original language. Well, then said the Gemara, we have no Aramaic to be found in Tefillin Mezuzahs to tinker with. So we went to the next teretz. Our Mishnah is speaking about Tanakh. And the Brisa, Megillah Esther, Kechsavim, Koloshoinam, it has to be recorded in the original language. Rav Ashi says. Our Mishnah is speaking about Torah. And therefore, even according to Shimon Gamliel, there's some translation allowed, at least into Greek. But since it was based on the story of Talmei HaMelech, where they translated the Torah, this heter is limited to Torah, as opposed to Nevi'im Ksuvim, which is the topic of conversation in the Brisa. That doesn't allow for any translation. It has to be written strictly B'Ksav Ashuris. So, what was the story of Talmei HaMelech? Says the Gemara, Mahi, what was the story? The Sanyu. We learned in the Brisa. Ma'aseh b'Talmei HaMelech. It was a story involving Talmei HaMelech. Rashi says, Melech Mitzrayim Haya. He was situated in Mitzrayim, but it seems like he was a Greek king. They were the prevailing culture at that time. So he was very curious. He wanted to learn the Torah. He had a hard time with Hebrew. So he says, look, Rabbi Ma'aseh b'Talmei HaMelech shekines shivim u'shnayim zakenim. He gathered 72 chachamim, v'chnisan v'shivim u'shtayim batim. Put them into 72 separate rooms. V'lo gila lahem ama kinsam. He did not give them advance notice as to the purpose of this event. So he took them in blindly. V'nichnas etzel kol echad ve'echad. And then he went in individually, one by one, to each zaken. V'amar lahem, he tells them, Kisvali Torahs Moshe Rabchem. I want you to translate for me the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu, your Rebbe, Rabchem. Now, there are many psukim in the Torah that can be misconstrued, mistranslated, and just overall, if you don't have the right attitude to Torah, they were concerned that he was going to make it into an object of mockery. Nosan HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'lev kol echad ve'echad. Hashem implanted Chachma, wisdom, Eitzah. He gave Eitzah into every one of these Chachamim. V'yiskimu kulan l'das achas, and they all were machav to the same thing. They all reached the same conclusion. They had to modify things here and there 15 times over. The Gemara will give us a whole list here of things that they had to retranslate so that it denotes consistency. It will not become an object of scorn in his eyes. And they all jive, they all machav into the same thing. Because they wrote them as follows. When they translated, instead of Bereshis bar Elokim, which perhaps can indicate that there was a Bereshis who created the Elokim, they wrote Elokim bara Bereshis. Hashem created the Bereshis, started the world. The pasuk says, Nase Adam b'tzalmeinu k'dmurseinu. Chazal darshan that Hashem discuss it with the malachim. It's an expression of anova, but there can be room for mistake. Nasa Adam. There are two powers creating a person. So he changed it to Asa Adam. B'tzel madmus. I will create a person. The pasuk says, "Vayechal Elokim b'yom hashvi." Rashi brings the medrash. Although Hashem completed the work of creation at the end of 6 days, but the world was missing menucha, rest, which isn't just a passive state. It's a very active state of connection with the higher realms, connection with spirituality, with Hashem. The world was missing the concept of menucha, and that Hashem added on the 7th day. He would say, no, what do you mean? Apparently Hashem worked on Shabbos. They changed that. He wouldn't understand what this is. Goyish Shabbos, Chayav Misi, has no connection to Shabbos. So they modified it. Hashem completed His work on the 6th day, and He rested on the 7th. Pasuk says, Zachar Nekeva Bar Am. Chazal Darshan, Hashem initially planned on making them into 2. Eventually He made them into 1. He wouldn't understand these things. So He changed it to Zachar Nekeva Bar A. He created one entity, Adam Rishon, as a joint. Zachar Nekeva. V'lo kasvu Bar Am, instead of writing Bar Am. The pasuk says, Hava nerda v'navlo sham svasam. This was by Der Haflaga. Let's go down and mix them all up. Again, lashon of anova. Hashem is sort of taking counsel from the malachim. But a guy would think, look, there are many powers, multiple powers in the world. They changed it from a lashon rabim to lashon yochad. Hava erda. Let me go down. Ve'evlo sham svasam. Mix them up. We find that Avram Avinu, when he heard the Psura about Yitzchak, by Yitzchak. So we have the lashon tzchak, but it wasn't laughter of zilzal. It was a laughter of joy. By Sarah we have a titzchak Sarah b'kirba. We have lashon tzchak, but dear Chazal say that Hashem wasn't happy with that. He admonished her. Why are you laughing? It was sort of a laugh of disbelief. Slightly different expression than Avram Avinu's tzchak. But he would say, Talmud would say, that's not fair. Avram doesn't get punished, and Sarah does. So he changed it. She expressed her laughter to her relatives. She made a whole scene about it. This would put his claims at bay. Ki ba'apam hargu shor. We have a pasuk which says that Yaakov Avinu gave a klala to Shimon and Levi. Look, they expressed their anger to such a great extent they killed Shechem, the whole city. He wanted to kill Yosef. So the pasuk reads as follows: Ki ba'apam hargu ish. They killed an ish. They killed the whole Shechem with apam, with their anger. And they wanted to uproot Shor, which is Yosef. Now it appears that Yaakov Avinu is accusing them of being murderers. So they wanted to change that a bit, touch it up, and they changed it to Ki ba'apam hargu Shor. They killed a Shor, an animal. And they wanted to uproot the trough. This way, there's no direct reference to Shimon and Levi actually killing people. When Moshe Rabbeinu went from Yisrael, from Midian over to Mitzrayim, it says, "Vayikach Moshe es ishte v'espana ve'erkivem al hachamor." A leader. It's all about pomp, honor, gava, royalty. Moshe, your leader was riding a donkey. He wouldn't appreciate the anava, which is the crown jewel of our leaders, who are so not into these things, not into formality and royalty. So he wouldn't understand it, he wouldn't appreciate it. They changed it to V'yarkivem al noisei bnei Adam. He took his family and put them onto a noisei bnei Adam, something which carries people, a people mover, which can be referred to a camel. So it wasn't outright untruth, it was something that can be interpreted either way. Now the pasuk says, "U'Moshe bnei Yisrael asher yashu Mitzrayim arba me'ah shana." By Bris ben Absarim, Hashem told Avram, your children will be be'eretz lo lehem. They'll be wanderers in foreign lands for a period of 400 years. And Rashi makes a whole calculation. If you look at the years in Mitzrayim, it doesn't amount to 400. Why? Because Kahas actually came down to Mitzrayim. Between him and Amram and Moshe, you don't even have 400 years. Certainly if you take into account the overlap between father and son. So how do you get to 400 years? Talmud is going to claim, look, the Gzera is not fulfilled. Hashem spoke about 400 years. There is no 400 years in Mitzrayim. So they changed it. They added, the total years of Yisrael wandering was 400 years. From the time when Yitzchak was born. Rashi says they lived in Plishtim and they were all over the place. Through Mitzrayim and out. That totals 400 years. And that was a true kiyum of the Gzera of Aramei Shana. But he wouldn't understand this. They had to add. B'Mitzrayim b'shar aratzis. Pasuk says, Vayishlach es atute es nari b'nei Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu sent the youngsters, the Bachram, to do the Karbanis. This was a Matan Torah. Talmud would say, what's going on? You have youngsters representing you. It's not covered, it's not honorable. So they changed it to Zatute. Zatute can mean honorable people, chashav people. And Taisa says that really the word Zatute can be translated both ways. Lashon Gedula, it says Zute Shal Yam, the extension of the sea, the flooding of the sea. And we find Zatute is a Lashon of unimportant. Bavel is Zute Shal Olam, down in dumps, low down. So the word Zatute can have two. It's a dual meaning word, and therefore they use that word that can be translated either way. Again, we try to minimize the change. We try to minimize it, but we have to allow for Talmai to be satisfied. So Zatute would satisfy him. Well, it's the G'day B'nai Yisrael. And therefore the next time as well, V'zatute b'nei Yisrael l'shalach yad, Hashem didn't strike them. Again, they switched it to Zatute instead of Atzile, because it had to match the previous Lashon as well. Okay, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Rabbi Yisrael, I didn't take anything from Klal Yisrael. This was actually when he was telling Hashem, don't listen to Kairach. I'm honest. I lead, I don't take. It's not about me, it's about Klal Yisrael. Loi Chamor, it says Loi Chamor Echad Mehem Nasasi. I didn't take one single donkey from them. Well, Talmai might claim, well, yeah, a donkey you didn't take, but a Cadillac you did. So he changed it. Loi Chemed. Chemed is a lashon of desire, of lust. I didn't take any item of desire. I didn't take anything of them. Loi Chemed Echad Mehem Nasasi. We have a passage which says, don't worship don't be impressed with the heavenly bodies out there. Asher cholak Hashem elekecha oisam. And the pasuk says, Asher cholak Hashem elekecha oisam l'chol ha'am tachas kol hashemayim. Hashem distributed, so to speak, the heavenly bodies to the nations. Meaning, they're under the jurisdiction and power of the heavenly bodies. You don't belong relating to them. You go straight to Hashem. Now, if only the simple wording and meaning of the pasuk, you can perhaps misconstrue, misunderstand that the pasuk is actually allowing the Goyim to worship idols. Hashem is giving the tzvah shamayim to the Goyim. They have to relate to the tzvah shamayim. They have to worship the tzvah shamayim. So they changed it. Asher cholak Hashem lakecha oisam l'ha'ir l'chalamim. They're there to illuminate the nations. The pasuk says, "Vayelech vayavod." He did avodah zarah. Vayelech vayavod elohim acherim. Asher loi tzivisi. He went and he worshipped the avodah zarah, the shemesh, the ireach, and it says Asher loi tzivisi, something which I didn't instruct to do. It sounds like I didn't create these things. He's worshipping the sun and the moon, things which I haven't created, which sounds like there are other powers in the world, competing powers. So they added a word, I never told anybody to worship them. One more thing, when the pasuk provides a list of 4 non-kosher animals, the 4th amongst them is the arneves, the rabbit. Now, they had a problem with that. And they changed it. V'kosverloi. And they modified that word as well. Es tziras haraglaim. Instead of harneves, they changed it to the one with the short hands. The rabbit has shorter hands than feet. So in Greek, actually, Maharsha says hands and feet are synonymous. So the one with the short hands, that's how they describe the rabbit. Rather than writing arneves outright. Why? This fellow Talmai had a wife whose name was Arneves. They were concerned that he shouldn't get offended. Look, they're mocking me. And they put my wife's name in the Torah. So they left it out. They changed it to Tziras Haraglaim. Actually, the Maharsha says that those 4 non-kosher animals in the Torah, which ends with Arneves, are describing, they correspond to the 4 Malchios, the 4 Golios that we experience. The 4th one being Arneves, which actually corresponds to Yavan, which Talmai belonged to. So it's actually very appropriate. Okay, so that explains why a Sefer Torah can be translated to Yavanis, because that was already done. Circumstantially, we had it done. We already sort of broke through that barrier. But, says Rabbi Yehuda, this is limited to Torah. But Tanakh, Nevi'im and Ksuvim, leave it in the original. Rabban Shimon b'Gamliel Eimer, Af b'Sfarim le'tirush yichtav Yavanis. Even Sefer Torah could only be translated into Greek. Why? Why dafka Greek? Amar Ravo, Amar B'Yechon, Halacha, Kadamashim Gamliel, that's how we paskin, only into Greek. V'Amar B'Yechon, my time more, Kadamashim Gamliel. Sounds pretty interesting. Why do we allow only translation into Greek? Amar Kro, it's based on the pasuk. Yafta lekim leyefes, v'yishken bali shem. Noach was giving a bracha. Beauty. Hashem give yofi, beauty, aesthetics, to yefes. But Yishkoin Bali Shem, the true Hashras Hashchina, should be in the tents of shame by Klal Yisrael. But Dvarav Shal Yefes, you Bali Shem. We learn from here that the beauty, the language, should be used, should be incorporated into the Ahale Shem, into the Bati Medrash of Shem. Ve'ema Goymer and Mogeg. Now Yefes had many children. Goymer and Mogeg, perhaps their language. How do we know? It's referring to Greek. The reason is and we learn Yaf shall Yefes, the beauty of Yefes. Rashi says that's Lashon Yavan, which is Yafe Mishel Kol Bnei Yefes. It's the most beautiful language amongst the Bnei Yefes. That should be Yehei Bali Shem. That should be incorporated into Ali Shem, and therefore we only allow translation of Torah into Greek. Yaft Elikim leyefes, Yafyusa shal Yefes, Yebali Shem. Now you may ask, it would seem from the Gemara in Amud Aleph, the reason is because of what happened with Talmai. That sort of broke through that barrier, and therefore we have a heter for Yavanis. So first asks this kasha, and some say that the ikar reason is because of Talmai. So once it happened, they no longer prohibited translation into Greek. But these psukim are merely an asmachta support. We find a remes for this in the Torah. Now the Rambam writes that Bisman Hazeh, we don't really have a heter. Because firstly, we paskin like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, right? As the Gemara paskins, Amar B'Yechon Halacha Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. You can only translate the Torah into Greek. And the Rambam says Greek is no longer really around today. It's nishtakeya, it's nishtakach, we don't really have it. So nowadays this isn't really relevant. Although halacha l'maisa, many Rishonim bring that as the generations progressed and the minds got weaker, our talents diminished, our zikaron, our memory, our ability to explore, to understand gets weaker and weaker, and therefore Eis Lasis Lashem Heferes Secha allows us to translate everything into all languages. That explains why we have all types of Sfarim today, written in all different languages. It's Eis Lasis Lashem. Circumstances require it, and therefore the Rishonim say it's perfectly fine. Continues the Mishnah. Ein ben koyin meshuach b'shemen hamishcha L'meruba begadim. Rashi explains for us that towards the end of Bayis Rishon, Yeshua Melech hid away. He put into hiding the tzloiches shel shemen hamishcha, that container of fragrant oil, which was used until that point to anoint kohanim gedolim, to anoint kings. And that's the kohen moshuach b'shemen hamishcha. But after that was put away, how would we appoint a kohen? The answer is meruba begadim, by just wearing the 8 begadim and doing avodah with them. That in itself turns him into a kohen gadol. Is there any halachic difference between the two processes? Not much. There's not much difference between the kohen who has the shemen, meruba begadim, to the kohen who doesn't have. The kohen who just has meruba begadim. Ela par haba kol mitzvahs. There's one exception. Suppose a kohen gadol errors in halacha, a very serious error, an avera involving kares. He will bring a par, a special carbon for the occasion. It's called par haba kol mitzvahs. He does tshuva, he brings a special par. That only applies to a kohen meshuach, but not a meruba begadim. What happens when a kohen gadol gets a psul? He's tameh, he's unfit for the avodah, and they bring a substitute to work in his stead. Then the first kohen recovers and comes back into office. What happens to the substitute kohen? Is he still considered a kohen gadol? Ein ben kohen meshamish. There's not much difference between the kohen who's currently back in service, the original kohen who came back, the kohen she'avar, and the kohen who is now removed. This was a substitute who's now been removed. They're both considered kohanim gedolim. They want to do avodah, they both have to wear shmoyne begadim. The only difference we have is ela par Yom Kippurim, vasir seif. On Yom Kippur, we only need one par Yom Kippurim that the kohen gadol brings, and that only belongs to the kohen mishamish, the current kohen gadol. And likewise, asir seifa, that minchas chavitin, which the kohen gadol brings on a daily basis, that's only brought by the kohen gadol in his office right now. Continues the Gemara. Let's go back to the kohen meshuach and meruba begadim. The only difference is one. Par haba akol mitzvahs. Holy in the par Yom Kippurim. Vasir seif. Apparently, when it comes to other halachas, the ability to bring the par Yom Kippurim, the ability to bring asir seif every day, it's irrelevant whether you're a meshuach b'shemen hamishcha or meruba begadim. The fact is, you're a kohen gadol. Continues the Gemara. There's a new piece in the Gemara. Mas nisan like Rabbi Meir. Our Mishnah, which equates the Meshuach b'Shemen HaMishcha and the Meruba begadim pertaining to the ability to bring par haba kol mitzvahs if they make a mistake, is not in line with Rabbi Meir. The like Rabbi Meir. Why? The Rabbi Meir, Hatanya, Rabbi Meir hold, there's a difference. Meruba begadim may be par hakol mitzvahs. Divrei Rabbi Meir. According to, sorry, let's go back for a second. Our Mishnah, which differentiates between a kohen meshuach who can bring par haba kol mitzvahs as opposed to a meruba begadim who cannot, that's not consistent with Rabbi Meir, who equates the two. He holds that both can bring the par haba kol mitzvahs if he makes a mistake in halach. Must isn't like Rabbi Meir. The Rabbi Meir, Hatanya, we have a brayso which says meruba begadim may be par haba kol mitzvahs. The Rabbi Meir, according to Rabbi Meir, even a kohen meruba begadim can bring that par. Maybe they hold no, only a par. Only a kohen mashiach b'shem Mishcha can bring a par. So our Mishnah, which only allows the mashiach to bring the par, is rachachamim. What's their reason? My time of the Rabbi Meir, the Sanya mashiach. Pasuk says that if a kohen commits that mistake, he brings a par. Pasuk uses the word mashiach. Ainly elok mashiach b'shem Mishcha. Perhaps this only refers to a kohen who was anointed using the shemen hamishcha. Meruba begadim. What about the meruba begadim? Talmud HaMashiach, the extra hay tells us, even that kohen gadol has the ability to bring a par al kol mitzvahs. But Mayu Kimnat, like Rabbi Meir. Okay, so we've established that our Mishnah is not following Rabbi Meir. Again, our Mishnah says that a meruba begadim cannot bring the par al kol mitzvahs. Rabbi Meir holds he could. Let's proceed to the next part of the Mishnah, which says, Ein ben kohen mishamish, the kohen she'avar. The only difference between the kohen gadol who's currently serving and the kohen gadol who was his substitute and right now is no longer serving, the only difference is, Ela par Yom Kippurim vasir seif. The current Kohen Gadol brings the Par Yom Kippurim. You only need one. And the Asir Se'efa, once again, that Mincha. You only need one. So who brings it? The one that's currently in office. That's the only difference. But as far as status, they're both the same. Both Kehanim are Kehanim Gedolim. Holachol Devarein, apparently when it comes to other halachis, they're both equal and the same. Rashi says, for instance, they want to do avodah, they have to wear shmona begadim, they have to marry a psula, they can't let their hair grow, etc., etc. Who's speaking here? Who equates the Kohen Gadol in office to the Kohen Gadol who's been taken out of office? Who was the substitute? Asan Rameh, that's only Rameh speaking. The Sanya. Iru by psul, suppose the Kohen Gadol experienced a psul, it became tummy, etc. Uminu Kohen Achatachta, another one was appointed in his stead. Now the first one is back in service. He's available. What happens now? Rishon Chayz Lavedase. First one comes back to work. Sheni, the substitute, Kol mitzvahs kunuk doyle alav. Do you read me? He's still a Kohen Gadol. And that seems to be the sheet of our Mishnah as well. Rabbi Yossi Omer no. Rishon Chayz Lavedase. Although the first one comes back into office, but the Sheni, his substitute, who is now no longer needed, Einoi Roy Loyal Kohen Gadol, Loyal Kohen Hedid. He can't serve in any capacity, not Kohen Gadol or Hedid. So we'll see why. Rabbi Yossi, I'll prove my halacha with a story. Maaseh Rabbi Yossi ben Ulam. So he was a backup Kohen Gadol. Tzipori, from the town of Tzipori. She'ir Rabbi Psil b'Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol had a psul. U'minuhu tachtam. This Rabbi Yosef was appointed as his substitute in his place. And the first one came back to Kuhuna, and they took Rabbi Yosef out of business. They came to the Chacham. They asked, what should we do? Rabbi Yosef ben Ulam, who's no longer needed for the job. V'ramah, they said, Rishon Chayz Lavedase, the old Kohen Gadol goes back into office. Sheni, the substitute, Einei Roy Loyal Kohen Gadol, Loyal Kohen Hedid, can't serve in any capacity. Now the Gemara explains why not. Kohen Gadol Mishum Eva. We can't consider him a Kohen Gadol and place him on equal footing with the current Kohen Gadol. It's going to create animosity and competition. He's encroaching on his territory. He's breathing down his back. That's not fair. He's sort of waiting for him to die so he can take over. That's what the Mepharshim explained in Yuma. What's wrong with considering him a Kohen Hedid? Let him at least serve as a Kohen Hedid. No, Mishum Malin B'Kodesh V'lei Maridin. You have to elevate. You have to upgrade in matters of Kedusha. You go up, you never go down. So once he's served in as a Kohen Gadol, he can't revert back to Kohen Hedid. So he's stuck. He's in limbo. He can't do anything. By the way, Tosfos has a kasha. Why do you need the svar of Malam B'Kodesh Emaridin? In any case, he can't serve as a Kohen Hedid with 4 begadim. He's really a Kohen Gadol. Technically, halachically, he's a Kohen Gadol. He needs shmona begadim. If he uses only 4, he's missing clothing. Mechusar begadim is avodas pasul. So why does the Gemara have to have the svara of Malan B'Kodesh Emarid? Answers Tosfos, no. You know how you make a Kohen Gadol? How does one become a Kohen Gadol? You appoint him. The king, the bezdin, his fellow Kohanim. They take a vote. They appoint him Kohen Gadol. So they can remove his Kohen Gadol status if they choose to. They can say, you're no longer a Kohen Gadol. We'll make you back a Kohen Hedid. They can do that technically. It's not for the fact that you're not meant to revert. You're not meant to downgrade in matters of Kedusha. Bottom line is, Reb Meir holds that the current Kohen Gadol and the substitute Kohen Gadol are both considered Kohanim Gedolim. Unlike Rabbi Yossi's Shita, right? He holds both have a din of Kuna Gedolim. What does our Mishnah hold? Mishnah clearly says, as such, there's no difference between the current Kohen Gadol, Kohen Meshamish, and the standby Kohen Gadol, the substitute, who's now no longer needed for the job. They're both the same. They're both Kohanim Gedolim. The only thing is that the daily chiyuvim, the asir seif, all that, that's the Kohen Meshamish's obligation. But otherwise, they're both considered Kohanim Gedolim. That's Reb Meir's shit. Problem is, we've already come to the conclusion that the first part of the Mishnah is not Reb Meir. Because Reb Meir holds that even a Kohen Gadol Meruba Begadim can bring the par Haba Kol Mitzvahs, whereas our Mishnah disagrees. Yeah, but we have a problem. Reisha Rabban. The first part of the Mishnah seems to reflect Shitas Rabbanon, We say for Meir. The next second part of Mishnah is Meir. The Mishnah seems to be inconsistent. Amar Chizda in, yeah. Out of a necessity, we'll say that. Reisha Rabbanan, we say for Meir. First part of the Mishnah reflects Shitas Rabbanan, that only a Meshuach b'Shem and a Mishcha can bring the par Habal HaMitzvahs. We say for Meir. The second part of the Mishnah follows Meir. The Kohen Mishamish and Kohen She'avar are both considered Kahanim Gedolim. Rabbi Yosef Amar, Rebbe, you know what? Let's remember who edited the Mishnayos, who compiled the Mishnayos. Rebbe Nasi. He picked and chose. V'Nasiv Lali B'Tanoi. He presented the Mishnah based on different Tanoi. He took a halacha from Rabbanan that he liked, took a halacha from Rebbe, and put it together in one Mishnah. So it really reflects one opinion, Shitas Rebbe, who happens to like Shitas Rabbanan in the Reisha, Shitas Rameh in the Sefer. So in summary, Ein Bein, a Kohen Meshuach B'Shem and a Mishcha, and Kohen Merubah B'Godim. Only difference is par I'll call mitzvahs, which the Kohen Meshuach B'Shem and Mishcha can do, and not the other Kohen. Otherwise, for instance, when it comes to being considered Kohanim Gedolim, when it comes to Par Yom Kippurim or Asira Se'ifa, either one is considered a Kohen Gadol and can accomplish those tasks. The Sefer of the Mishnah speaks about a Kohen who had his soul. Another Kohen was appointed in his stead, and the first one came back. Is there any difference between the Kohen Mishamish, who came back to office, and the Kohen She'avar, his substitute? Not much difference, except the fact that the Kohen Mishamish will be in charge of the Payim Kippurim and the Asiris Efa on a daily basis. Otherwise, both are considered perfect Kohanim Gedolim and have all the halachas of Kohuna Gedolim. Continues the Mishnah. Ein bein Bama Gedolim Bama Katana. Bama Gedolim was a communal mizbeach, Rashi says. It was at the point in history where they had no Mishkan. When they were in Noiv and Givon, they had something called a Bama Gedolim, a large, a communal mizbeach. At that time, every individual could have his own personal mizbeach in his backyard, where he brings karbanis. Is there any difference between the two bamas? Not much. Ein bein bama gedolim bama katana. There isn't much difference between the communal bama, communal mizbeach, and one's private mizbeach. Ela psachim. The difference is that you cannot bring a korban pesach, which is a korban chayva, in your own private mizbeach. Why? Zaklal. You have to follow the following formula. Kol shu nidav v'nidav, a korban which is promised or donated. So a volunteer korban b'bama that you can do privately. But something which is obligatory, a korban chayva like a korban pesach, ain't a korban b'bama. You can't bring it in your own private personal bama. That has to go to the bamas tzibur. Now the Mishnah seems to be inherently difficult to understand because the last line of the Mishnah seems to indicate that a bamas yachid accommodates neder and nadav, as opposed to a bamas tzibur, which accommodates all chayvos, all obligatory karbanis. For instance, tamid, musaf, all the karbanis tzibur that are brought on a daily basis. And not just that, even the karbanis tzibur that are brought occasionally. The tzibur does a grave error, they do a avera shezdoine kares, they bring a par helam davar shal tzibur, or if they worship avodah zarah, they bring siri avodah zarah, as we discuss in Maseches Hayriyos. All those karbanos can be brought at the bamas tzibur. That's what it sounds like from the Sefer of the Mishnah. You go back to the Reish of the Mishnah. Ein ben bama gdol bama ktana ol psachim. A korban pesach cannot be brought in the bama ktana, right? Because it's not a neder and dava, it's a chiyuv. Rather, you bring out the bama gdola, but it sounds like the only thing you can bring at the bama gdola is something like a pesach, which has a set time to it. It's a korban chayva which has a zman. It's a time-related korban, but something which is not time-related, like the sira avodah zarah, par hil and davar shel tzibur, you can't bring. That's not consistent with the Sefer of the Mishnah. That anything that's not neder and dava can be brought at the bamas tzibur. Psachim v'suloi. The only thing you can bring at the korban tzibur is a korban pesach, which is a time-related chiyuv. What about the other chiyuvim that are not time-related? Par helam davar shel tzibur, sira avodah zarah. Why not? The Sefer clearly says that any carbon chayva that tzibur can bring at the carbon at the bamas tzibur. Ema, let's understand the Mishnah as follows. Game sachim. You're right. The only thing you can bring at the carbon at the bamas tzibur is a carbon chayva which is time related, like a carbon pesach. That's it. You're right. You're 100% right. Only something which is like a carbon pesach. The Gemara picks pesach because that was the first carbon that Klal Yisrael brought in Mitzrayim. Mani Rab Shimoni. Indeed, we're following Shittas Rab Shimon, who holds as follows: the Sanya. Rab Shimon Omer Af Tzibur leikrivu el pesachim v'chayvos shekavur lehen zman. Even the tzibur at the bamas tzibur at the bama gdela can bring only karbonos chayva that are time related. Al chayvos she'en kavur lehen zman. Hacha v'hacha lekarav. But a carbon chayva which is not time related cannot be brought anywhere. Not in the bamas yachid and not in the bamas tzibur. So this is actually a big sugi in the Gemara's Zvachim. We'll leave it for them. Be'ezus Hashem. Okay, let's do a quick chazar on today's daf. We started with a Mishnah, and we had a stira. The Mishnah says you can go translate Svarim. The Brisa seems to say you have to write Biksavas Ashuras, strictly in Lashon Kodesh. We had 5 tirutzim. The final one was Rav Ashi. Our Mishnah is speaking about Torah. Torah can be translated, according to Shingam Liel, into Yavanis only. But that's because it's Torah. The Bryce is speaking about Nevi'im Ksuvim, which don't have that allowance. And the reason is because of that story with Talmei HaMelech, who forced them to translate the Torah. And they actually made 15 modifications to satisfy him, and to protect the integrity and honor and respect of the Torah. That translation was into Yavanis. And based on that, we allowed Yavanis going forward. But that's it. Just by Torah, not by Nevi'im Ksuvim, and just Yavanis. And not other languages. Actually, the Gemara brings a remes from Sukkim. You have to look him li Yefes. You have Yusish al Yefes. This beautiful language of Yefes, Greek, will be incorporated be'olei Shem. So we have a heta to translate Torah into Greek. We also learned that Tefillah and mezuzahs have to remain in the original Lashon Kodesh. V'hayu of Yasan Yu. The same regarding Megillas Esther, Kirsavam, Kilshainam. It has to stay in Lashon HaKodesh. We learned about the Kohen Gadol who's Meshuach b'Shem HaMishcha, who can bring the Par Kol HaMitzvahs if he makes a mistake. The Merubah B'Gadim cannot. Regarding other things, they're both one and the same. Par Mekippurim, Mesiras Eifa, they're both considered Kohen Gadolim in that respect. What about the Kohen Meshamish versus the Kohen She'avar? The Kohen who is currently in office, as opposed to the Kohen who has a substitute. Only the Kohen Meshamish can bring the Parim Kippurim, Nasir Seifa. But otherwise, they're both considered full-fledged Kohanim Gadol. We concluded that in Abba Ktana, you can only bring Nadar Madavis. In Abba Gedola, you can bring Chayvets, provided they're Kavol Lehen Zman, the time related. This is in accordance with Shita as Rabbi Shimon. All the best to you and much hatzlacha.